What's going on YouTube, Gary here, gzduel here to bring you guys a full match between my Constellars and my opponent who's playing some 6 Samurais. And I'm showing you guys this full match like I always do with any new archetype. Basically, I show you guys some interesting duels and some interesting combos or interesting plays the deck can do. And then I show you guys a full match, so like I can show you guys, in a real life duel situation, a tournament situation, where you have the side in against your opponent and your opponent side in against you. The decisions you make really like impacts how your successes will turn out in the entire match in a 2 out of 3 setting. And Constellars is not bad actually. I've been playing Constellars. It's a pretty simple deck to play. The deck profile is like really straightforward. I'll show you guys soon. And yeah, it's pretty fun. I do make some misplays in this match though, so I hope you guys just overlook it or maybe learn from it. Like the best thing to do is just learn from it. And the first misplay I play is setting the Torrential Tribute. I originally thought, if he had Dark Hole, what I would do is I'll just use Pleiades' effect in order to bounce back the Tenki on the field, so I can use it next turn, and then I can Torrential Tribute any monsters that he summoned, any special monsters, and hopefully that'll work out. But since he just ended his turn off with 2 back row, I was just thinking, instead of using Pleiades in order to bounce back both back row, what I should do, since I do have Bear that I search for with Tenki, I should just play Heavy Storm. I almost had like a second thought. I thought like maybe what I should do is like chain Pleiades' effect in order to bounce back the Torrential Tribute in order to use it again. But then I was like, nah, because if I have Torrential Tribute and I have Bear and stuff and all of this works out, then Torrential Tribute will be kind of dead because I have really strong field presence. Especially, when I attack with Bear, I could get Tenki, and I set Tenki onto the field, and I can use Tenki's effect again to get another Bear, and it's like really aggressive cycle. I just, with Torrential Tribute, it's really not needed. I'd rather have that extra material on Constellar Pleiades, so that, I can bounce back 2 things my opponent has rather than 1. And if he decides to set 2 back row, I could just, bounce both back rows back, and I can go for the offensive plays again. He basically has to set more than 2 cards in order not to get his field cleared. So he's using 6 Samurais, and he special summons the Elder of the 6 Samurai. And here's where I think he misplays a bit. At least I wouldn't play like him. So he summons Kageki, and he didn't have any other 6 Samurai monsters, so he just wanted to draw 2 cards with 6 Samurai United. And so, I understand, and he has 2 level 3 monsters. He could go for a rank 3 Exceed, but he doesn't. He decides to enter battle phase and attack my Bear with his Kageki. And I thought, okay, that's weird. Okay, that's interesting. So during the end phase, he sets 2 back rows. So I was like, I'll just use Pleiades' effect in order to detach and bounce back one of his spell traps. And when it's during my turn, I can bounce back the other spell trap. Hopefully he doesn't have anything to chain. And then I can summon the Bear, use Bear's effect in order to send the Tenki from the field to the graveyard in order to destroy the Elder of the 6 Samurai, so that I can attack with Pleiades and the Bear, and I would be able to to deal the remainder of the damage to his life points. And with that said, I probably just won game 1. I did misplay, wasted a Torrential Tribute, so I hope you guys don't do what I do. So enter siding. I'm showing you guys how I sided against him. After game 1, I learned that he's playing 6 Samurai, so I know that Valor really hurts them, because if he has Kageki and I Valor his Kageki, he can't special summon the Kagemusha. And I also decided to side in the Mind Crushes, because he searches a lot with say he has Gateway, if he has something like Reinforcement of the Army or Smoke Signal. So I decided to side those cards in. Foolishly, of course. My side deck isn't really that well developed. I'm really just tailoring my side deck to like Elemental Dragons and Prophecy, and also Mermails. And my opponent opens up with Gateway for game 2, and he's going first, and he has Dojo. And I was like, okay, I'm going to lose this one. This is going to be interesting. So he has Kageki, and I just Valor his Kageki right away, because if you think about it, if he has Kagemusha, and he can like use his Gateway to search for Kizan, and then get Kizan, he can basically go for first turn Shockmaster plus Shien, and there's no way I would be able to come back from that. So I draw into Sombras, and I already have a Sombras, and I was like, okay, I gotta side out a Sombras for game 3. I really have to, because my deck is just too aggressive for there to have room for, like, double Sombras that I can't use, which are only pretty good late game. So he's using the Smoke Signal, and he's getting the Kagemusha of the Six Samurai, and he decides to normal summon that, and I'm going to Torrential Tribute. However, unfortunately, since he has Gateway and he has Dojo, it's not that much of a minus, because he always just search for it back, either from the graveyard or from the deck, and he can just continue going off. So that's why I need to, like, draw a Dark Hole, draw a Heavy Storm. But unfortunately, I didn't draw into the Heavy Storm. I drew into a Bear though, so I'm gonna select the Bear. And since I can't special summon this turn, I'm not going to try. I'm just going to summon the Bear, try to attack directly, and if I do get it successfully and I deal some damage, I can search for the Tenki and use Tenki to search for another Bear, and hopefully it'll be good. So I attack, and it actually went through. So I was like, okay, cool. So at least no Mirror Force, no D-Prison, or else most players would have probably burned a D-Prison on Bear, because, getting that extra Tenki to search for another Bear is just not cool. At least I would even use a Mirror Force on it. Okay, so thankfully my Bear stays on the field, and I do have Solemn Judgment. So if he's using, like, Gateway and he's using Dojo, he's going to get, like, Shien and stuff. I could just Solemn Judgment to Shien, and Shien would not be able to be reborn back, cannot be called back with Double-Edged Sword, so it's going to be pretty good, hopefully. So he uses the 4 counters in order to get the Elder of the Six Samurai, so he can special summon that, and that'll give him two counters on the Gateway and 1 more counter on the Dojo. And he's going to use Asceticism on the Elder so that he can special summon the Kagemusha from the deck. Not Kagemusha. Yeah, it is Kagemusha. Kagemusha from the deck, so that he'll have 4 counters on the Gateway, and maybe 4 counters on the Dojo. At that point, I really didn't know. I really didn't, like, keep track. So he only had 3 counters on Dojo, which is, my fault. So I solemn warninged it. I minus my life points to 4,000, and my opponent still has counters on Gateway. So he's gonna just use Gateway's effect. He hasn't normal summoned because he special summoned Elder and he special summoned Kagemusha. So he's gonna search his deck for something weird, which, like, I didn't know, like, most Samurai players played Mizuho and Shinai, but he decides to play, like, Shinai. I was like, oh, cool. I used to be a Samurai player too, and I played Mizuho and Shinai. I thought they were always pretty good because I couldn't afford the Kizan. But now he's playing Mizuho and Shinai, and I was like, hey, this is interesting, because he can just use Mizuho's effect, tribute Shinai in order to destroy my Bear, and then after that he can use Shinai's effect because it is tributed by a 6 Samurai monster. He can get back the Shien that I Solemn Judgmented, and then he can use the Dojo in order to get himself a Kagemusha, and he can still go for the Shien. And I didn't really have much hope. I didn't place much hope in the second game. As soon as he opened up with Gateway, I was like, oh, okay, GG. So 6 Samurai players, if you open up Gateway, you're broken, and it's almost always an auto win, unless you don't know how to play. Then I understand. He's gonna get Grandmaster, and he's probably going for as much damage as possible. At this point, he could go for more than that. He can special summon the Grandmaster, get some 2 counters on Gateway and 6 counters, or it should be 6 counters on Dojo, and he can use Gateway, remove 4 counters from Dojo in order to special summon a Kizan, and then use the 2 counters on the Dojo in order to special summon out the Kagemusha, and after that he can use Kagemusha and Mizuho in order to go for a Shien, and after he has Shien, he'll have Shien on the field, he'll have Grandmaster on the field, and he'll always have Kizan on the field plus 2 set back row, and it would be game. So I decide, I have to do something. He misplayed, basically. He should have gone for Shien and all that stuff, but he didn't do it. And I decide, I'm going to use Algedy, and I'm going to use Algedy in order to get costs. I'm going to try to get costs onto the field, and I want to use Costs' effect in order to get Pleiades. Hopefully, I can do something with Pleiades and bounce back his Gateway or something, and then, like, attack over his Mizuho. Hopefully I can survive. And then as soon as I go for Pleiades, he has the Horn, and so I scoop because I just can't win. He has too much advantage right now. So in game 3, you know, I decided I'm going to side in these two dust tornadoes, because definitely if he has like heavy back row, he has like the horn, he has the gateway. I need some more back row removal. You know, 3 MST is good, plus Heavy Storm is good, but I want to side in also the Dust Tornado, and I forgot like what to take out. So I took out a Shiratin, and I decided to take out a Sombras, I think. Did I take out Sombras? Tell me I took out Sombras. Yeah, I took out Sombras because I kept drawing Sombras last time. So decided to just go with this. Didn't put in the bottomless trap hole because, you know, his monsters are relatively small. And when he special summons out the Xian, it would be too late to bottomless. So I decided not to use that. And I opened up with, you know, enough so that I could search out all the materials for Pleiades the next turn. But this turn, I'll just have to like summon something like Shiratin in order to just stall for some time. I do have Torrential Tribute, so if he tries to go for both of those little pieces to try to get Xian, I can Torrential them. And if he has Gateway, I will be able to use my Mystical Space Typhoon. So I felt like I was in a pretty good situation, so I just set both of them, and I passed my turn off to my opponent. And, you know, this is when, you know, I'm a terrible player because I don't keep track of where I set my back row. And my opponent played a Gateway. I was like, oh, MST, MST. And I accidentally activated Torrential Tribute. And I was like, oh no, oops, sorry. You didn't see that Torrential Tribute. Go ahead, summon. Ah, damn. It's too bad because, you know, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is supposed to be a game of wit and skill and like gamble and luck and stuff. If you show your opponent you have a Torrential Tribute, they'll know, they can't like unknow it, and they'll use it to their advantage. So rather than him going for a first turn Xian or something like that, because I have Torrential Tribute, he's gonna like play conservatively, and I feel bad about it. So I decided, you know, I'm gonna play conservatively too, even though he has one back row. I want my Constellar Pleiades to summon to be successful, and I drew into Dust Tornado. So I was like, why not just wait a turn, use Dust Tornado on his back row? Hopefully he doesn't set anymore. And then I can go for my Constellar Pleiades, and then I can attack and keep my field presence and even keep my Shiratin. And that was the plan. That was the plan. Hopefully it succeeded. I was just, at that point, I was just like, you know, I got rid of his Gateway. I'm already pretty lucky. And during the end phase, he didn't set anymore. So I decided to carry out my plan, Dust Tornado. And it wasn't something very threatening, but, you know, I just wanted to be sure. So I normal summon Pollux, and then I'm going to normal summon the Cost, and I'm using Cost's effect twice in order to increase the level of the Pollux and the Cost himself. And I want to increase their levels by 1 so that both of them are level 5. You really have to tell your opponent this because Cost's effect can go both ways. It can decrease levels too, so you need to tell them what level you want your monsters to be at. And yeah. I go into Pleiades, and I decide I should just attack with Pleiades. I don't think he sided in like Snowman Eater or something like that. That'd be really, really dumb. And it's Kageki, so I was like, yay, cool, Kageki. And I'm going to put the Shiratin in defense mode because Shiratin somehow has 1,900 defense, which is, you know, pretty good, pretty sizable. So he's going to increase back the life points that he minus for himself because he thought I was going to attack with Shiratin. I wouldn't attack with Shiratin. And my opponent's just like thinking. He lost his Gateway, and he lost that Kageki. And he's just going to set monsters at this point. And during his end phase, I'm just going to bounce back his monster and attack him. I was doing that mainly because I didn't want to. I was hoping that I draw into another Constellar monster, so that way I can use Agadi and use Agadi's effect, special summon another Constellar monster, and then attack for most damage, and then go for like game almost. That's why I bounced back his monster. If I had known I didn't have any Constellar monster, like I drew into Valor, I probably wouldn't have gone and used the Pleiades' effect during his end phase and bounce back his monster because it's rather useless. I'd rather just attack over the monster and save the material for something like a back row that he sets. But, you know, it's just a bit of a misplay. So he's going to summon the 6 Samurai Kizan. And here he surprised me a little bit. I was like, okay, cool. You summon Kizan, and he plays Solidarity. And I was like, okay, nobody plays Solidarity anymore, but it's interesting though. It's really interesting. And he decides he's going to He's going to use the Solidarity and also the Kizan, which is 2600, to attack me. Here, I wasn't thinking correctly. I should have just used Pleiades' effect, bounce back the Solidarity, and then have Kizan just run into it. But instead, I used Forbidden Lance, which I shouldn't have because he could have just used Dark Hold, the second main phase, and I would have lost. But don't play like me because I'm a terrible player. And I'm also a terrible player right here too, because if I had turned Shirata into attack mode, I should have calculated enough that the 700 remaining damage would have just been dealt, and I would have just ended the game right there. But instead, I'm a terrible player. Don't play like me, guys. Somehow I still won. And I use Tenki, and I'm going to, of course, get the cost because I have Augity, and Augity plus cost equals the second Constellar Pleiades, and that's really good. Yeah, if you guys didn't play like me, we should have won already if I turned the Shirata into attack mode. But unfortunately, I'm a terrible player. I'm sorry, guys. He sets one card. Now you see there's uncertainty. Now I don't know if I'll win or I'll lose. And yeah, it's just sorry. Terrible misplace. Terrible misplace. So he's going to summon a Kizan again. His Kizan will be at 2600. And he's going to attack, and he's going to special summon another 6 Samurai monster. And he's going to enter battle phase, hopefully trying to get rid of my Pleiades. And now I will play properly, actually, this time, and use Pleiades' effect in order to detach one material and bounce back the Solidarity. So after he declares his attack, I do that. His attack will still go through, and he will take 400 points of damage for his mistake. And he'll have a Kizan on the field that's only 1800 attack, and I will be able to get over it next turn. But unfortunately, I should have just ended the game 2 turns ago. I'm sorry. I suck. I'm a terrible player. And he's just calculating the damage, and he's going to basically use the hand trap that nobody uses for 6 Samurais and prevent his monster from being destroyed by battle. And he's going to activate Rivalry of the Warlords. At first, I thought it was Gozen, so I was like, okay, so it's just the attribute, right? And then I read it again. He clicked on me again, so I thought, oh, okay, so it's the other one. It's the one that gets rid of types. So I didn't read the card. I'm a terrible player. And I Dark Hold into his monsters because he has so little life points. I should just attack directly and win the game. I'm sorry there's so many misplays. Hopefully you guys learn from my misplays. And, I should have just ended the game 2 turns ago. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this duel anyways. And this is Gary gzduels signing out.